Discipline is not something you wait for. It is something you build, like a system that runs even when your feelings don't show up. Because motivation is unstable. It comes and goes like the weather. But discipline, real discipline, is what stays when motivation disappears. And if you understand this deeply, everything changes. Now here's the shift you need to make. Stop thinking of discipline as a feeling. Start thinking of it as a default setting, something that happens automatically, not emotionally. Let me explain. Most people believe successful people are always motivated, that they wake up excited, energized, and ready to conquer the day. But that's not true. Here's the truth. What's actually happening is simpler. They've built systems that remove choice. They don't ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" They've already decided ahead of time. And that decision removes the emotional debate. That's the real secret. Now let's talk about your brain for a moment. Your brain is designed to save energy. It constantly looks for the easiest path, the most comfortable option, the least resistance. So when you say, "I'll do it later," your brain agrees instantly, because later feels easier than now. But here's the catch. Later never feels better. It just repeats the same pattern. This is not laziness, it's wiring. Your brain is protecting you from discomfort, even when that discomfort is exactly what you need for growth.
So discipline is not about fighting your brain. It's about redesigning your environment so your brain stops negotiating. Think about this. Have you ever brushed your teeth without thinking? You don't sit there debating it. You don't wait for motivation. You just do it. Why? Because it has become automatic. You've done it so many times that it has become a default behavior. That's discipline. Not force, not pressure, not emotional hype, just repetition until it becomes identity. Now let's bring this into real life. Imagine someone named Daniel. Daniel wants to start working out. Every morning he tells himself, "Today I'll start." But when morning comes, he feels tired. He checks his phone. He thinks, "Maybe later." And later becomes never. He blames motivation. He says, "I just need more discipline." But nothing changes. Then something shifts. Instead of waiting to feel ready, Daniel changes one thing. He stops deciding in the morning. Instead, he decides the night before. He lays out his workout clothes. He places his shoes next to his bed. He sets a rule. When I wake up, I put them on before I think. That's it. No negotiation, no emotional debate, just action before thought. At first, it feels small, almost too simple. But something interesting happens. Because once he puts on the clothes, he's already halfway there. And once he's halfway there, quitting feels more uncomfortable than continuing. So he goes. Not because he felt motivated, but because he removed the chance to say no. That is how discipline actually works in real life. Now here's the core psychology behind this. Every habit runs on a loop. There is a trigger, there is a behavior, and there is a reward. Most people try to change their behavior by force, but they ignore the trigger and the environment. So they rely on willpower, and willpower is limited. It drains throughout the day. That's why you can be strong in the morning and weak at night. But discipline doesn't rely on willpower, it relies on structure. When you control the trigger, you control the behavior. When you reduce friction, you increase action. And when action becomes easy, repetition becomes natural. That is the real science behind consistency. Now let's make this practical. If you want discipline that doesn't depend on motivation, you need to stop asking, "How do I stay motivated?" and start asking, "How do I make this easier to start than to avoid?" That one question changes everything, because discipline is not built in the middle of effort, it is built before the moment of decision arrives. Let me walk you through how this actually looks in everyday life. First, you remove decision points. The more decisions you have to make, the more chances you give your brain to quit. So instead of deciding every day whether to work out, you set a fixed rule. At the same time, same place, no debate. Instead of deciding whether to study, you decide the exact time and starting location in advance. You make it automatic, not emotional. Second, you shrink the starting point.
Most people fail not because the task is hard, but because starting feels heavy. So instead of saying, I will work out for 1 hour, you start with 5 minutes. Instead of, I will study everything, you start with 1 page. Your goal is not completion. Your goal is initiation. Because once you start, momentum takes over. Third, you design your environment to support action. This is powerful. If your phone is next to you, distraction wins. If your workspace is messy, resistance increases. If everything you need is prepared in advance, action becomes easier than avoidance. Your environment should pull you forward, not hold you back. Fourth, you attach identity to behavior. Instead of saying, I am trying to be disciplined, you say, I am someone who shows up. That sounds small, but it changes everything. Because identity is stronger than motivation. When something becomes who you are, you stop negotiating it. Now let's bring it all together in a simple moment. Imagine it's early morning. You wake up. You feel tired. You don't feel like doing anything. In the old version of you, this would be the moment everything collapses. You would start thinking. You would start debating. And eventually, you would choose comfort. But in the new system, there is nothing to decide. Your clothes are ready. Your routine is already set. Your environment is already aligned. So you move before thinking. And that's the key difference. Discipline is not you winning an argument with yourself. Discipline is removing the argument entirely. Now here's something important to understand. You will still have lazy days. You will still feel tired. You will still not feel like doing things. That does not mean something is wrong. That is normal. The difference is what happens next. Do you rely on feelings to guide action, or do you rely on systems that run without feelings? Because feelings are unstable, but systems are dependable. So if you take one idea from this chapter, let it be this. Stop trying to become a motivated person. Start building a system that doesn't require motivation. Because once your actions are designed properly, discipline stops being something you struggle with. It becomes something you follow, quietly, consistently, automatically. And over time, something powerful happens. You stop being someone who tries to be disciplined, and you become someone who just is. Not because every day feels easy, but because every day is already designed. And when your system is stronger than your mood, you don't need motivation anymore. You just move.